Natalee Holloway is an all-American high school senior on the cusp of adulthood, brimming with promise and excitement for her future. But in May 2005, that bright future was stolen away. What happened to Natalee on that fateful night in Aruba? Today, we dive deep into one of the most famous missing person cases of the 21st century, the disappearance of Natalee Holloway. Natalee Ann Holloway was born on October 21, 1986, in Clinton, Mississippi. She was a bright student and an active participant in school activities. In May 2005, Natalee had just graduated from Mountain Brook High School in Alabama. To celebrate, she and 124 other students from her class took a 5-day trip to the Caribbean island of Aruba, an idyllic vacation spot with sunny beaches, fun nightlife, and a reputation for safety. Little did anyone know, this trip would soon become a tragic mystery. On May 30, 2005, the students were enjoying their last night in Aruba. Natalee was last seen by her classmates leaving a nightclub called Carlos and Charlie's, around 1:30 a.m., with 3 local men, Joran van der Sloot, a 17-year-old Dutch national, and 2 brothers, Deepak and Satish Kalpo. According to the men, they drove Natalee to the beach, where she allegedly wanted to be dropped off. Joran claims he left her there and returned home. But Natalee never returned to her hotel, and she missed her flight home the next day. The first hours after a person is reported missing are the most crucial in any investigation. In Natalee's case, the Aruban police responded quickly. They started by interviewing her friends, classmates, and hotel staff to gather details about her last known movements. Her friends recalled that she left the nightclub with 3 men, none of whom were part of their group. The police followed up with a timeline of Natalee's movements that night. They focused their attention on Joran van der Sloot and the Kalpo brothers, who had been seen driving her away from the nightclub in a car. Little did they know, these 3 men would become central figures in the case that was about to unfold. The police followed up with a timeline of Natalee's movements that night. They focused their attention on Joran van der Sloot and the Kalpo brothers, who had been seen driving her away from the nightclub in a car. Little did they know, these 3 men would become central figures in the case that was about to unfold. When Natalee's mother, Beth Holloway, received the dreaded phone call back in Alabama, she immediately flew to Aruba. Accompanied by her husband, Jug Twitty, and several friends, Beth arrived on the island less than 24 hours after Natalee was reported missing. Upon arrival, she wasted no time. She and her team coordinated with local authorities and spearheaded their own investigation, distributing flyers and contacting media outlets to ensure that Natalee's disappearance would not go unnoticed. The local police launched a search almost immediately. Their first step was to retrace Natalee's steps, combing through security footage from the hotel, nearby businesses, and traffic cameras. At the same time, they conducted interviews with everyone who had been with Natalee that night. The Aruban authorities set up roadblocks and began searching cars leaving the island's urban areas. They questioned cab drivers, hotel employees, and even tourists to gather more information about Natalee's last known whereabouts. Beth Holloway didn't wait for the police to act alone. She, too, hired private investigators and coordinated search parties to help. Volunteers from the local community, joined by American tourists and residents, began combing the beaches, resorts, and nearby remote areas of Aruba. Helicopters scoured the coastlines, while boats searched offshore waters. Search dogs were brought in to track any potential leads. But despite these extensive efforts, no trace of Natalee was found in the first few days.
Natalee Holloway's father has flown a search dog and a handler to Aruba to look for the missing Alabama teenager's body. That's according to prosecutors on the Caribbean island. The search reportedly focuses on a small water reservoir on the island's northwest region. Witnesses have previously identified it as a possible location where Holloway's remains might be found. Neither police nor prosecutors have received any new leads in the case. But Aruban officials say they gave Dave Holloway permission to search because they understand his need for closure. Despite extensive searches, no trace of the teenager has ever been found. She was last seen in May 2005, leaving a bar in Aruba's capital on the final night of a high school graduation trip. Natalee Holloway was 18 at the time. Mike Gracia, The Associated Press.
Early in the investigation, attention turned toward the three men who had been seen with Natalee on the night she disappeared. Joran van der Sloot, a 17-year-old Dutch national living in Aruba, and the Kalpo brothers, Deepak and Satish. Joran and the brothers were questioned multiple times by the police. Initially, Joran claimed that after leaving the nightclub, they drove Natalee to the beach. According to him, Natalee wanted to be dropped off, and he left her there while he went home. The Kalpo brothers backed up Joran's version of the story, saying they dropped Natalee off near the hotel and saw her walk towards the beach. However, investigators were suspicious. The men's stories were inconsistent, and as the police pressed them for more details, the accounts they provided began to change. The Kalpo brothers claimed that they went straight home after dropping off Natalee, while Joran's story became more convoluted. Over the next few days, the police questioned Joran and the Kalpo brothers repeatedly, but the lack of hard evidence made it difficult to proceed. Still, the authorities suspected that these three men knew more than they were letting on. Joran's privileged background. He was the son of a prominent Dutch judge. Added another layer of complexity to the case.
Rustig aan, rustig aan. Hoeveel zaken waren vanmorgen bezig? Ik geef geen commentaar. Nee, morgen heb ik
Van der Sloot has long been a suspect in Natalee Holloway's disappearance, the 18-year-old who went missing during a graduation trip to Aruba in 2005. He was held for 90 days, but he's never been charged. His Dutch lawyer says Van der Sloot, believe it or not, told him he was planning to turn himself in. That didn't happen. He was arrested. And Van der Sloot now faces a potential prison term of 35 years in Peru. Maggie?
All right, Jeff Glor. Thank you, Jeff.
By June 9, 2005, nearly 2 weeks after Natalee went missing, the police arrested Joran van der Sloot and the Kalpo brothers on suspicion of kidnapping and murder. While the arrests were a significant step forward, there was still no physical evidence linking them to Natalee's disappearance.
One word that conjures up 1,000 fears and emotions. Police, joined by well-wishers, scour Aruba's beaches for signs of Natalee Holloway. And her mother, Beth, makes an emotional pledge about her missing daughter.
Our primary goal is to bring Natalee back home. We will do whatever it takes. As I've said from the beginning, I'm not leaving Aruba without her.
For much of the afternoon Saturday, investigators backed by FBI agents searched this hotel. It's being remodeled, plenty of hiding space, workmen say. Nothing was found. It was just one of what police say are dozens of tips from the public. Aruba's Deputy Police Chief, Gerald Dompic, spelled out the avenues of inquiry.
Three series. One is, as you all know, these persons of interest might have done something wrong to Natalee. That's one area. The other area is that this person is just missing in terms of somewhere else for whatever reason. And the last theory is, of course, a kidnapping. But
the persons of interest he is referring to are three local men. They left this Mexican bar early Monday with Natalee. They told police they took her to a nearby beach before dropping her off at her hotel. Aruba is a tropical paradise of sorts, plenty of sun, sea and white sandy beaches, but it also has its darker side. The island is a transshipment point for cocaine and heroin coming from Colombia en route to the United States and Europe. The island's also a stopping off point for many South American prostitutes hoping to get to Europe. But there's little history of violent crime against tourists. 1/3 of Aruba's income comes from tourism, around 1 million visitors a year, half of those from the US. 18-year-old Natalee Holloway was one of many, yet to those who knew her, she stood apart.
And Natalee is truly an angel. She's a member of the National Honor Society. She's a straight A student.
She's praying hard her angel reappears safe and well in paradise. Carl Penhall, CNN, Palm Beach, Aruba.
As the investigation continued, the case of Natalee Holloway became an international media sensation. Reporters from around the world arrived in Aruba to cover the story. The public was captivated by the mystery. An American teenager disappearing in broad daylight on a tropical island. The story had all the elements of a true crime drama, and soon, every detail was being reported in real time. The FBI was called in to assist with the investigation, offering their expertise in missing person cases and forensics. They worked closely with the Aruban police, helping to analyze any clues and gather information. At the same time, the Holloway family hired private investigators and search teams to cover areas that the local police might have missed. Aruba's government also ramped up their efforts, providing more resources for the investigation. The search for Natalee expanded even further. Helicopters and boats continued to search the coastline and nearby waters. Volunteers scoured the interior of the island, focusing on less accessible areas, while divers searched underwater caves and coral reefs. Despite the scale of the search, no concrete evidence was ever found.
Authorities in Aruba are reopening the search for Natalee Holloway, the American teen who disappeared while on vacation in 2005. Officials say an American couple took an underwater picture of what they believe might be Natalee Holloway's remains. The couple took the photo last fall and eventually turned it over to the FBI. An Aruban police diving team is scheduled to do preliminary work at the spot where officials believe the picture was taken. Authorities say it is too early to tell if this tip is more viable than the others. This will be the latest of a string of investigations into Holloway's disappearance. She was last seen leaving a bar with an Aruban man, Joran Vandersloot. He has been detained several times as police continue to investigate the case. He is currently free. Aruban prosecutors say they lack evidence to charge him. Ed Donahue, The Associated Press. Authorities in Aruba are reopening the search for Natalee Holloway, the American teen who disappeared while on vacation in 2005. Officials say an American couple took an underwater picture of what they believe might be Natalee Holloway's remains. The couple took the photo last fall and eventually turned it over to the FBI. An Aruban police diving team is scheduled to do preliminary work at the spot where officials believe the picture was taken. Authorities say it is too early to tell if this tip is more viable than the others. This will be the latest of a string of investigations into Holloway's disappearance. She was last seen leaving a bar with an Aruban man, Joran Vandersloot. He has been detained several times as police continue to investigate the case. He is currently free. Aruban prosecutors say they lack evidence to charge him. Ed Donahue, The Associated Press.
I want to go to the couple that went there to Aruba that were snorkeling and took the photo. Joining us exclusively out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Patty and John Muldowney. First to you, Patty. You took the photo, right?
Yes, I did.
Tell me what happened. What led you there?
Well, we went on a snorkeling trip, and they stopped right at that area. So we all jumped off, and we went snorkeling.
So a boat actually took you out to the area, Miss Muldowney?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is this wasn't just off the shore where you walked out and then went face down in the water snorkeling. A pleasure boat took you out to the area, then you jumped off the boat.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so you were a little bit further out. Okay, then what happened, Miss Muldowney?
Then I had my camera and I started to snap pictures of all the fish. That was the main reason why I was out there, to snap some colorful fish.
And
so I was out there, and then after it was, then I came up onto the boat. It was a disposable camera that I was using.
So at that time, you didn't realize really what you had captured on film.
That's correct.
Was your husband John with you?
He was actually on the boat. Two friends of ours, they were the ones that were snorkeling with us. There was a group, but my husband was actually on the boat. He did not go snorkeling.
Had you ever snorkeled before?
Years and years ago.
Was anyone actually diving and going down to the ocean floor?
No.
Okay.
No.
To John Muldowney, what do you recall when you first took a really hard look at this photo? How did that come about?
When I looked at that photo, I said, by darn, that certainly does look like a skeleton. But I start showing it around to different people, getting comments. What do you think? I just tell them to look at this picture. What do you see? And, of course, there's that little snake that Pat was taking on the right side of the picture. And then they'd look and say, oh, my God, yes. That looks like a skeleton, a human body. So I showed that to an awful lot of people, even my doctor, and they all agreed that that is a corpse. You can see the skull, you can see where the eye sockets were, you can see where the chin was, the arms, it's laying flat on its back, and its arms are cradled around. You can almost see fingers, and then on the one sleeve it looks like some kind of maybe clothing that's deteriorating. It's, you couldn't tell if it was a garment or not. But like I say, we sure showed it to a lot of people, and I wouldn't tell them. I'd ask them, what do you see when you look at that picture? And when the police saw it, they called the FBI. And the FBI transferred me to Quantico, Virginia, and I told them the story. They put me in with Philadelphia, with the FBI in Philly. They told me to send them the picture, the story, and send it to their violent crimes department. And I did. I sent it registered mail. So I knew when they got it and who signed for it, and then didn't hear anything for a month.
With each passing day, the search for Natalee grew more desperate. The lack of physical evidence, no body, no signs of a struggle, no personal belongings was a significant obstacle for investigators. Though the police had questioned Joran van der Sloot and the Calpo brothers multiple times, their shifting stories and lack of cooperation only deepened the mystery. Without hard evidence, the investigation began to stall. Despite the tireless efforts of the police, the FBI, volunteers, and Natalee's family, the search for Natalee Holloway ultimately led to more questions than answers. The police continued their investigation for years, with multiple arrests and interrogations, but no one was ever formally charged with her disappearance. To this day, Natalee Holloway's fate remains unknown. What we do know is that the disappearance of Natalee Holloway has left a lasting impact not only on her family and friends, but on the entire world. The search for Natalee became a symbol of hope, determination, and the human will to never give up in the face of uncertainty. But above all, it remains a haunting reminder that justice, sometimes, can be elusive. Do you think that Natalee is still alive and missing?
Plus, she asked to go back to her hotel, but I was just trying to get dropped off a little bit further away from her hotel so we could walk back to her hotel and I might still get a chance to be with her.
Okay.
That's what I was hoping for.
Okay. So what happens?
Yeah, Deepak drops me off at a place a little right of the Marriott Hotel known as the Fisherman's Huts. This place is not so far from, the next hotel is the Marriott, and the next hotel after that is another Marriott, which is a timeshare, and then it's the Holiday Inn. Well, we walk along the beach.
Do Deepak and Satish get out? Come with you? What happens to them?
Deepak and Satish leave. They leave. They go back to their home. I assume they go back to their home. They get in their car and they leave. I'm actually with Natalee walking along the beach. I find a space before we get to the Marriott Hotel, where I lay her down. We lay down together in the sand, and we start kissing each other. I get her to kiss me again. We start kissing each other, and I start feeling her up again. And she tells me no. She tells me she doesn't want me to feel her up. I insist. I keep feeling her up either way. And she knees me. She ends up kneeing me in the crotch. When she knees me in the crotch, I get up on the beach and I kick her extremely hard in the face. Yeah, she's laying down unconscious, possibly even dead, but definitely unconscious. And I see right next to her there's a huge cinder block laying on the beach.
When you say cinder block, looking at the walls of this place, is it like those?
The exact same cinder blocks. I see a huge cinder block laying on the beach. I take this and I smash her head in with it completely. Her face basically, collapses in. Even though it's dark, I can see her face is collapsed in. Afterwards, I don't exactly know what. I'm scared. I don't know what to do, and I decide to take her and to put her into the ocean. So I grab her and I half pull and half walk with her into the ocean. I push her off. I walk up to about my knees into the ocean, and I push her off into the sea. After that, I get out. I walk home.
Natalee's case, it's solved. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. It's over.